I have to ask myself the question honestly, have I bitten off more than I can chew? I did my first ever season in racing. I did it on treaded tyres. I got some fantastic results, 3 podiums out of 7 finishes. I mean, you can't write that sort of stuff. It was a great year. Had that created a little bit of anticipation of what my ability truly was? Had it created a little bit of anticipation of me wanting to do really well in a higher class? Have I bitten off more than I can chew? I don't know the answer to that question yet, but all I do know is I absolutely love a challenge, and all this is going to do is put the fire in my belly to really push on and want to improve my level, improve my game. Donington, first race of the year, step up to class 2, baptism of fire, I'd say. Welcome to the big boys, and incredible talent through class 2. The step up is not only with the car, but it's significantly with the driver ability and the sort of experience that exists within class 2 Porsche Boxster racing. Ultimately, we've got an LSD limited slip differential and slicks. We've had some troubles with testing, and testing is there so that it gets the opportunity to iron out a lot of kinks, but ultimately it's there for us to try and be able to push and get to more of the performance envelope of the car, which frankly I don't feel like I've had the chance to do that. And really my first push and chance on slicks was the day before. So we've got testing the day before. What happened the day before? Torrential rain the whole day, wet running throughout the day, several cars in the barriers, not mine thankfully. Great opportunity to learn wet driving ultimately, but it was treacherous to say the least. And to add to matters, race day, Saturday, completely dry. So the testing that I was able to get at the circuit the day before, typically in British weather, was in the exact opposite conditions that I'd be prepared for.
Shiraz qualified 3rd, which was really good, but my advice to him was actually to expect to fall back, just because we didn't have the time on the slick tyre. So I kind of felt, I knew that he would probably fall back, and I think the advice after qualifying was just not panic, just expect to fall back to 6th or 7th and try and work your way back up, which is kind of what happened. A couple of mistakes which we really expected, fell back, got back on the track literally, and sort of had a finish of a race.
Race 1, so I had Dino Zamparelli, who was my coach, who was absolutely ecstatic with my qualifying. But interestingly, he had said to me that, Shiraz, you've done an amazing job in qualifying. They're the most difficult conditions, a mix between wet and dry, but don't be worried if there are people that are going to come past you in the race. There are some awfully quick drivers very, very much behind you. So don't get yourself into a rut, because you performed really well last year. Don't get yourself into a rut if you start falling behind. So got a great launch, found myself in P3 for the first lap. Second lap, third lap, started being pulled away from the leading pack. Lost 2 positions, and then my foot got caught under the brake rather than on it when I was trying to heel and toe. Missed my braking spot into the gravel, exactly the same place where I went in qualifying. It was the slipperiest part of the circuit. Fell to the back of the pack, managed to gain a couple of places because there were a couple of DNFs and a couple of people that had to retire their cars and went through the pits. But truly heartbreaking first race. Felt really, really good start. Was massively off pace. I think I did a 121.8, which last year at Donington I did a 121.5 on treaded tyres. So it just goes to show that I'm nowhere near the performance envelope of this tyre or this car, and I will be very clear in saying that the competition is fierce.
We then worked for race 2 to try and really improve his lap times. That's exactly what happened. He found 1.5, nearly 2 seconds a lap on the slick tyre. I think that was our first run on slick tyres all year. So we've been a bit unlucky with the weather and testing and stuff. So, this weekend's been all about just learning, understanding the slick tyre under race condition, which unfortunately you can't practice. You just got to get on with it. So from my side, I think he did really well. Got a long way to go. The fastest lap was about just a shy over 1 second off. So we're getting there. Bit more to come. Bit more testing at Brands Hatch, hopefully before then, and we can keep on improving.
Race 2 started in incredibly good fashion, so I was starting P6 this time, and I made up 4 places from the start. So, I mean, it was like a cracking start. Warmed everything up, hooked up, good to go, and off we went. I found myself in P4 for the whole race. And then a very small mistake on the penultimate lap found me into the gravel at the old chicane, and then I lost 2 paces and finished P6. So could have been a better race, but I think one thing that was my target that Dino had set me is you did a 121 in the first race, let's try and get you down to a 120 or even a 119 would be great. And we did a 119.2 with the last bite of the lap being compromised, so I was hitting the targets that I needed to show progress. So rather than being too het up about the result, which awfully is quite saddening considering how well I was doing in Class 3, ultimately I now need to just put that work in, trust the process and forget about the results, and they'll come when the time is due.
The number 8 of Rice through yet, although goes very wide round McLean. Can he keep the momentum on the outside? Doesn't look like it. So yeah, that was Rice making up the position there. Found the best is off the back of that. So this is all poor position as well.
The next race is at Brands Hatch, and it's the GP circuit. I haven't had the chance to race there or do track days there yet, so it's going to be another learning experience. But I think what's really been great for this first race is it's now taken all expectation of results, thrown it in the bin for me, blank canvas, let's go, let's get a great season in, let's grow, let's develop. And if podiums are meant to come, that will be a reflection of my driving ability and skill and growth, rather than a lucky win.